Welcome back, everybody. It's Wednesday, episode 72 of the Below Average Joe's MMA podcast. Per usual, the boys, we're here.
We're back in town.
It's me, Noah, and I'm joined by always.
But
I'm joined, as always, by my lovely co-host, Dominic Salee. How are you doing midway through the week?
you know, it's hump day. And quite frankly, it's the best day of the week on the podcast. I'm just kidding. Every day we're bringing a podcast, it's the best day of the week.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, you gotta...
The listeners know that when they don't hear us in the morning, in the evening, during their lunch break, they're feeling an emptiness inside. You know?
Yeah,
At least that's what I envision in my head.
Man,
Probably not accurate.
Those are some big, big pants to fill there.
Probably not accurate.
However, it is Wednesday, and because of that, everyone should be aware this episode's a little bit extra special.
As always.
And that's because we're doing a part 2.
It's been a little bit.
It has been. This is a series we started back around Christmas time, I want to say.
Yeah, this was the last episode of 2020, as a matter of fact, was this one, I think.
I think you might be right.
Yeah.
This or that.
We love this one, huh?
I'm a big proponent of this one. I love it.
Yeah.
And you have very much supported it as well. The concept is, me and Dominic are going to go back and forth presenting the other person 2 options.
2.
Relating to MMA.
Yes.
This or that. Which option do you take? And then we explain why, and we talk about it, have a little open discussion about the options.
That's the best part about this.
Right.
Yeah.
It just opens up an opportunity for us to talk about things that either maybe aren't necessarily making headlines, or things that maybe aren't even that realistic, but just fun to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, most of what we do is relating to the modern day, what's going on in the news, you know,
Yeah.
what's hot off the presses, the fight nights, you know, we're recapping them, we're previewing them. It's very in the moment a lot of times. So these special episodes, we wanted this. We wanted to branch out, do things that could, you know, we have classic pay-per-view reviews where we look back, and now we have concepts like this where they're just a little bit more fun, I think.
Yeah, Wednesdays are just special.
They're fun days.
Fun days. That's a good way to put it.
But honestly, I think we're just ready to get in
I
here.
think we go right now.
Okay.
And I'm going first.
Oh, you're going first. All right.
So here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you watch this or that part 1, if you haven't, we do highly recommend checking it out.
Yeah.
It's a very top tier.
I was a big fan of it.
We did all fights that we want to see in 2021.
Right.
That was the sole theme. Now, going forward, we can kind of do whatever we want. We're going to still propose a lot of what, like, do you want like this fight better or this one, so on and so forth. But there's going to be a couple little fun lobs that might not even be fight related.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just squeak them in there, make it a little more fun. But I will start with a fight, just to be a little traditional here. Now, I don't have big, star-studded super fights.
Okay.
I got some ones that I'm just curious to see, get your thoughts on.
Again, that's one of the reasons we do this.
And if you're listening, by the way, get ready to leave a voice message.
Oh.
And let us know which one you think, this or that.
Mm-hmm.
This is big interacting for this
we
type
might
of
as well
episode.
go ahead and plug it right now,
Yeah.
too. Based off what we talk about here, we want to get your thoughts.
Exactly.
Leave a voice message. We'll play it during our Friday episode.
Yeah, on Friday.
And we'll react to your thoughts on what we present here.
Yeah, you'll kick the episode off for us.
Nice.
So,
Yeah.
anyway, it's in the link tree, okay?
Yep.
We'll talk about that later, too.
Yep.
First fight, we're going to men's bantamweight.
Ooh.
Now, I steered away from anything I mentioned prior, so
Yeah.
I had to do some digging and thinking.
Yeah.
This is a little trendy.
It's a big division.
Yeah. So, of course, Corey Sandhagen is going to be mentioned here.
Right. Okay.
And he's going to be mentioned in both fight options.
Ooh, nice.
2 different opponents.
I'm a big Sandman guy.
Oh, yeah. Number 1, when we've talked about it before, does he welcome TJ Dillashaw back?
Okay.
And that's the next fight? Or, and I know which one you're probably going to pick, but I think this is a fun fight that we haven't talked about, and that's why I put it down. Corey Sandhagen and Rob Font. We have not discussed that.
This is fun. This is fun. So Rob Font is ranked what now? Is he
He's
fifth?
third now.
Oh, he's third? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rob. I was not aware of your leaps and bounds you've made. So let's break this down.
Break it down.
So Corey Sandhagen is easily the guy right now who is he's the one in waiting in my eyes.
Yeah.
So you got the title fight that's literally coming up.
2 weeks. Less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, less than 2 weeks away. Peter Yan in his first title defense against Aljamain Sterling. Corey Sandhagen, based off of his last 2 wins over Marlon Moraes, and then that exceptional knockout of Frankie Edgar, has inserted himself into being a tier above the rest, in my opinion. He is right below the title fight, but he is above the rest of the contenders. I think he is the next guy. The winner of the title fight should be fighting him next. However, it's not really how it goes usually. Now, for TJ Dillashaw, we have not seen him in a long time.
Yeah, he's in an interesting spot.
Now, when he left, he popped for PEDs, EPO to be exact, the Lance Armstrong drug, for those of you that aren't aware. 2-year suspension.
It's now up.
It's now
he's
up,
eligible.
so he's eligible to fight. So when he left, he was champion of the bantamweight division.
He never lost his 135-pound belt.
So the question becomes, for TJ, what kind of expectations do we put on him? Do we immediately insert him into like a title eliminator, which against Sandhagen would make sense?
Oh yeah.
Or does he have to kind of go maybe towards the back end of top 10, and then that probably leaves him maybe winning 2 fights before he gets a title shot? And then you got Rob Font, who is quietly really rose to the top of the ranks here. And, I mean, his biggest win of his career came in his last fight against Marlon Moraes. Yeah. That being a win that him and Sandhagen hold mutually to one another.
Mm-hmm. Before that, beat Ricky Simone. Big on Ricky Simone.
Yeah.
And then Sergio Pettis.
Rankings-wise, it's obvious that it makes more sense to do Sandhagen-Font. But at the same time, like, it all comes down to what your expectations for TJ are to come back. Do you immediately insert him there, or like in the forefront, or is he towards the back end? So a lot of that's on what TJ wants too. I think I'm still gonna go Sandhagen Dillashaw.
Stylistically, both are so similar, but also so different.
TJ's just an all-around.
He really is.
He's really great everywhere.
And Font's that great boxer, out of the New England cartel up there with Calvin Kattar and the likes of those guys. And you saw how brutal his knockout was against Moraes. Sandhagen is so similar, in my head, movement-wise, to Dominic Cruz. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
And I think that is why, stylistically, I think TJ and Sandhagen, man, that's so fun.
Yeah,
but a low-key sleeper, Font
Sandhagen Font, I think, is very fun on the feet.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the fight would mostly stay, although...
We hardly ever get to see Corey work on the ground, but he is well-rounded.
So that's why I almost think that Sandhagen Font might end up being a better fight than Sandhagen Dillashaw, because I could see Dillashaw kind of... Perhaps if Sandhagen's wrestling capabilities aren't up for it, I could see Dillashaw taking that fight to the ground a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And if Sandhagen's not able to respond... then you might get a bit of a snore of a fight, depending on how aggressive Dillashaw is on top or whatever.
Yeah, you can't get much more well-rounded than Corey Sandhagen and TJ Dillashaw in the same fight.
Yeah, but I am going to go Sandhagen Dillashaw, and the biggest reason is going to be for Corey. Now, Rob Font, awesome fighter. Really love that he's kind of getting the shine that he deserves. However, he's still probably the least known guy in this top 5, top 6, top 7.
Yeah, for sure.
And... therefore, Corey, he's definitely making a name for himself, and that knockout of Frankie Edgar had a big part in that. That shit was all over Twitter that night, and Frankie Edgar being such a legend and big name.
Mm-hmm.
TJ, very well-known fighter, especially now after his transgressions with the EPO. He has became a very infamous fighter. So I think this fight for Corey, I want to see him get that win where it's like, Frankie Edgar, as big of a name as he is, I don't think people were really looking at Frankie as like a title challenger at bantamweight.
And in that fight, I feel like everyone was picking Corey.
Yeah. I mean, Frankie Edgar, former lightweight UFC champion, dropped down to featherweight.
Title challenger.
Multiple times. And then he dropped down to bantamweight, but that was after 2 KO losses at featherweight. First 2 times he had suffered a KO loss in his career. And
his debut at bantamweight was very controversial.
Yeah, and it just appeared his best days are behind him at this point. I think it's kind of safe to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I think the Dillashaw fight gives Corey a chance to get a Because, I mean, he already has credible win. I mean, the win over Moraes was credible.
But still,
but it's like over a former title holder.
Yeah.
And you win that. And
TJ's probably the second best bantamweight ever, behind Dominic Cruz.
Yeah.
So we'll put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, he might even have something to say to be number one.
Right. Yeah.
My thing is that that's what I want for Corey. I want that kind of that notable guy who has been there, done that, been the title holder. You get that win, and there's, in my opinion, you still can't deny him that chance for the belt.
Yeah.
But if Aljamain beats Jan, Aljo just starched Corey less than a year ago.
Yeah.
So if Corey were to get a win in this similar time frame, I'm imagining, over TJ Dillashaw, then what's there left for him to do to show that he's ready to take that on again?
Mm-hmm.
The Font fight's fun. I think it makes a ton of sense considering they're number 1 and number 3. No,
Yeah,
2 and
2 and 3.
But I honestly, I would rather see Font fight Dillashaw than Corey fight Dillashaw.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like out of those two, like I would pair the two that you didn't pair together.
I love it.
Just because I think Font needs that kind of shine even more than...
Yeah, he needs it more than Corey does right now.
But regardless, that's not an easy fight. Dillashaw's not just some big name that's going to get starched. I mean, I think he might win either of those fights. But that's what I'm going to go with. I don't know if you have similar...
Yeah, if out of those two, I do like Corey and Dillashaw. I just think that's the fight to make right now with both guys seeming to be available. But
and Corey wants it. That matters a lot too. He's called for it. Haven't quite gotten the same response from TJ's camp.
And I just thought it was interesting because we haven't really talked about Rob Font since he last fought, and especially him fighting Corey. So I figured, throw it out there. So, your turn.
Nice. So this one, I think I know where you're going to go, but I want to set it up and then let you...
We just know each other so well,
Yeah, the viewers need to learn, right?
Yeah.
So Dana's been very clear about how it's became much harder to find a lot of these prospects due to the regional circuit not really being it's not quite as there's not quite as many fights going on as there used to be, before COVID. We're starting to kind of pick back up, but he's made it clear that it's hard to find, the level of talent they're looking for to bring into these, Tuesday Night Contender or Ultimate Fighter, or even bring them into something like LFA or whatever it might be. So, if this is kind of an if scenario here, like if it became too hard for the UFC brass to find these prospects to put across both of these shows, would you rather have the Ultimate Fighter, or would you rather have Tuesday Night Contender Series?
Oh, wow.
And it's not, and I think I know where you're gonna go here, but there's a lot of history for one,
and not so much for the other.
So I'm just presenting that.
Man.
So if it came down to it, which one stays?
I didn't think you were ready to just throw that on me.
I thought this one might be easy for you, to be honest.
Oh, Contender Series.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for.
Yeah. It's like call the cops, but not for me. That's Contender Series for sure. You just shocked me when you brought up like picking between the two. That's interesting. That's what we're saying, like making these different. So the Ultimate Fighter, the reality TV show, you get two coaches that are fighters. They coach all of these guys out of the regional scenes. The fighters fight each other. They live in a house together. And then you get down to the final two guys. One becomes the Ultimate Fighter. And then, inevitably, the coaches, 95% of the time anyway, end up fighting one another. Yeah. One instance where they didn't. Conor McGregor, Uriah Faber.
A lot of times when it doesn't happen, it's because of like injuries or something. But sometimes.
So 95% of the time they're supposed to fight each other. DC and Stipe, for example, the most recent season or one of the most recent seasons.
I think the most recent was Kelvin and Robert Whittaker.
It might have been.
And then they ended up not fighting either.
That's true
but that's injury right there.
So, the Ultimate Fighter is so fun. So many legends out of there. I mean, season 1 especially, man. That's just...
This is when you're talking about history,
Yeah, history for the UFC.
The guys from season 1 really were kind of carrying... Yeah, they not only saved it with we've
Stephen
talked
Bonner
about that.
And Forrest Griffin.
But even some of the other names on there, they really, some of these guys fought in title fights. Josh Koscheck,
Diego Sanchez.
Yeah, I mean
there's
they've
so
been
many.
there. So my whole point is that there's a lot of history with it. So do you kind of side with them because of history of it? And plus they're talking about bringing it back, so it might still. Right now it's kind of feeling fresh. While when they stopped it, it was because it just felt like it had run its course.
Yeah.
But then you got the new blood and the Tuesday night contender.
I love the Contender Series, dude.
Yeah, I mean you are the Tuesday night contender series.
I can't wait till it's back.
Yeah,
so I can talk about it every time I'm recording.
Yeah,
and so I would go Contender Series. I love the Ultimate Fighter, but I'm not big on reality TV.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying they stage the Ultimate Fighter. I'm just not big on the reality TV concept as a whole. But Contender Series, they find these studs out of the regional circuit. They pair them up in front of a small audience in the normal times without COVID. It was still only 100 people there, which was cool to see that.
It felt very regional.
Yeah. And then now they fight, obviously, with nobody currently. And there's something about, these Contender Series winners. I mean, look, just Macy Barber, for example, just co-mained UFC 258. Alex Perez fought for a title. They go on to do big things very quick.
Yeah, Dan Ige headlining Fight Night.
Yeah. They do things very quickly as compared to the Ultimate Fighter. Sometimes, for example, Matt Serra fought for a title. There are instances where they will go immediately into something big. But there's something about these... In the Contender Series, people are usually younger, more green. So they can mold these Contender Series vets or alums into their... They mold the character that they will become in the UFC to promote. Whereas in the Ultimate Fighter, they kind of build a character while they're on the show themselves. So the UFC can only do so much with it. There's just something about that regional feel to the Contender Series that I just love. And I can't wait for it to be back. Yeah, that's a fun...
I'm going to side the same way.
Really?
I am a Contender Series guy at heart, even though I struggled to catch it much during these last
I thought you'd pick Tough, just because...
So the history of Tough is very integral to the UFC. However, I think that what makes... I think Tuesday Night Contender, what's so ingenious about it, not even just the concept itself, but the fact that it kind of took what Tough presented and made it more modern. It feels more of a relevant option in today's day and age.
Mm-hmm.
The Ultimate Fighter was genius at the time because reality TV was so huge. The UFC basically presented a Trojan horse.
Yeah, that's true.
They were like, hey, here's a reality TV show.
It really was booming.
About these fighters living in a house. But really, it was a way to show the product on TV, to show these fighters on TV, get these personalities out there, and look at the stars it created. It was ingenious.
Mm-hmm.
But it ran its course. Even though we're excited for it to come back, and I'm not saying I want it to be gone. We're looking forward to doing some of our own recaps and stuff once they bring it back. However, Tuesday Night Contender, I think, has elevated... I think it took that concept and made it better.
Yeah, I love it.
It took out kind of that reality show aspect, which,
put them in the cage.
I have some fun with reality shows, but I'm just saying that I think that now the UFC is so legitimate now. It's, you're on ESPN, you're on ABC. You don't need the Trojan horse anymore. Yeah. And another factor, Tough. Think of the pressure. You win the Ultimate Fighter, one man or woman. A lot of times those fighters haven't panned out. Probably just as many Tough winners have kind of not been anything in the UFC as have become big stars.
Yeah.
Contender Series, you're taking upwards of 2, 3, 4 fighters each week.
Yeah, each week.
So
that's a good point.
So you're really filling out your roster there.
Yeah.
And now this is kind of where I'm going to play devil's advocate. The UFC is talking about cutting down on their roster. Would it make more sense to introduce Tough, where it's like, okay, our winner gets a contract, and maybe if there's somebody who the fans really love at home who doesn't quite win, he'll get a contract, whatever, and then you have less people you have to worry about managing moving forward. But I'm still going to go with Contender Series. I think it's a more fun concept, and it's better for the fighters. Tough, I don't know so much in the later seasons, but early on, it was a rigorous process of cutting weight sometimes 3 or 4 times in 2 months, and then having to fight 3 or 4 times in 2 months.
Yeah, they fight so often and Tough. Man.
So it fighting doesn't really.
That's not how it is when you're.
It
not
doesn't
on
really
top.
hand itself to the reality concept, but they made it work.
Yeah.
I just think now with how much more aware we are of like just a lot of things, you know, fighter health and safety and whatnot. You know, I think now you do these contender series, you give these guys camps to bring, and then this is your job interview.
Right. Yeah.
I just love that concept. So I'm gonna go with contender series.
Good. You know, you really threw me for a loop there, and I'm gonna keep it related
Okay.
to tough. And you probably knew this one.
Yeah, I thought this one might come because we talked about this.
So this is a kind of another different one that's not just a fight. Technically, it would turn into a fight because, like we said, coaches typically fight each other. But who do you prefer to coach the upcoming season of The Ultimate Fighter? Staying in the same weight class, staying with one similar person in both options.
Yeah, I imagine.
Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal. Colby Covington versus Jorge Masvidal. Noah, give me your thoughts.
Okay, so there's a couple factors here, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's better for TV and what's a better fight? What feels like the more like what option should it be, you know, based off where all these guys are? So the easy answer, based off all of those I just said, based off what's more exciting for TV, what's a potentially better fight, that one maybe not. I don't know. I'll still side with it on this one, and then which fight just makes the most sense.
Yeah.
You go Jorge Colby. However, despite I just said all that, I'm still going to go Kamaru. Jorge.
Okay.
And there's one reason that trumps all of those I just said.
A belt.
A belt on the line.
Yeah.
The stakes are raised. If you're going to do what has been rumored and have this season air on ESPN, raise the stakes.
Yeah.
Title fight to end it all on the line. And the fact that you have a champion on there as one of your coaches really adds to these guys, what these guys are learning. They're
That's
learning
true.
from, it's the lineage of it, you know? And I think that would raise interest in this season alone. Would Jorge Colby be fun from watching on TV? Yes. But also, have you ever watched a 10-minute, 15-minute interview with Colby Covington and said, I want 45 more minutes of this?
Right.
It's just, I think that the whole idea that this, that like this Jorge Colby fight needs to be like the Ultimate Fighter coaches, like I'm all for it if that's what they did or what they do. But I think that it wouldn't be as fun as people are thinking. I think I'd get really annoyed with Colby's shtick quite a lot.
Yeah.
While Kamaru and Jorge, while there would still be that shit talking, it wouldn't feel as overbearing, I guess. You know, you've had seasons in the past, like the one you just talked about, Conor and Uriah. Conor basically was like, "This is my show."
Yeah.
But this really,
They
that's
had
not the
some funny
point.
shit
It's
happen.
not, and I'm not saying that it wasn't funny, but the point of the show isn't really for these coaches to take center stage. It's for
You are
them.
coaching these up and comers.
And these up and comers are supposed to be the ones that are getting.
They
the
wanna
face
learn,
time.
yeah.
And also, I mean, that's the whole point of
It's
the show.
about them.
It's building them up.
Yeah.
Conor McGregor didn't need built up back then.
Yeah. That was just more
yeah.
fuel to the fire.
So Colby, totally could see him just kind of taking that and being like, now, I can imagine Colby Covington being a great coach. He has shown flat. There's been slight. You see
I was
those
about to say
those
this.
glimpses into who the real guy is. I just wonder if once the cameras start rolling, does he kind of throw out everything he taught?
See, I was going to go to the same thing.
So I'm sticking with Usman Masvidal because it feels like I think you got like this team. You got these two teams, and it's like it's building towards this big title fight. And you haven't seen a ton of title fights in tough seasons. I think it's a great way to kind of reintroduce it to this, you know, new fan base that they've kind of created for themselves.
Yeah, I respect that 100%. I'm going to go the other direction.
Okay.
I prefer Colby and Jorge, and really it's the main reason I don't want to see Masvidal and Kamaru Usman part 2 right now.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, I get that.
And I think Colby and Jorge, the former teammates, you know, that bitterness, the rivalry on top of good reality TV, they would play into that so well. But I, for one, would like to see how Jorge would be as a coach. Because he's a true veteran, been in the backyard fighting. He's literally, when you say paid in full, he's one of those guys too, you know? And for Colby, like you mentioned, he does have that that character that he's always playing. But like you said, there have been glimpses and videos where you see the real humane part, and I think potentially him coaching might bring that out.
It might soften. The viewers might get to see another side of it.
Yeah, that's intriguing. An intriguing piece to me. And then, of course, we get those two to fight at the end of the season for a number one contender fight. They haven't fought before. Like I said, the former teammates, the rivalry, the hatred. Used to be best friends, those guys. Trained, like Kamaru and Gilbert. That's what Jorge and Colby used to be at American Top Team. So that's for the reason I'm going to side there. Again, main reason I don't want to see Jorge and Kamaru again. And I just think there are little bits and pieces that could make the show a little different. Like, if you go either way, I think they're like polar opposite seasons almost.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
So, yeah, I like both options, but I'm going to go Colby.
I think it's a nice touch adding the whole former training partners, former teammates thing, because I think that could play a big aspect.
Well, we've shown how much they built the 258 card off of it,
Yeah. No, I'm all for either one. I really am. I remember before it was really being talked about, we presented that here on this,
a long time ago.
And we said Jorge Colby should be the coaches.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the internet ran away with it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything.
It was us.
Yeah, we broke it.
If you ain't following, if you ain't subscribed, you probably should. I'm just saying.
No, I like that. Okay, so since you segued off my first one to your second one, I'm going to segue off your second one to mine, because both of my fights include Mr. Kamaru Usman.
Mm-hmm.
Which champ fight would you rather see?
Whoa! I know what the two options are now.
Khabib Nurmagomedov going up and fighting Kamaru Usman for his welterweight title, or Kamaru Usman going up to middleweight to fight Israel Adesanya.
Neither. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. I'm not big on the Khabib moving up. I don't.
Yeah.
When I look at Usman, he's so much bigger.
Mm-hmm.
He's fucking huge, man.
Yes.
And I don't need... Khabib's retired, okay?
Yeah, we should leave him alone.
He's retired. Damn it.
That's why we just talk about this here.
Hey, Dana, baby.
Leave that man alone.
He's retired. Let him ride the jet ski. You see the picture of him on the jet ski? He looks like a badass on the jet ski.
It's like the guy from Lion.
Yeah, just riding
Tiger
off
King.
with the glasses on. Now, I don't doubt fight-wise. But here's the thing, too, though. Like, I could see Kamaru fighting at 185 easier than I could see Khabib fighting at 170. I know Khabib is a big guy, and he cuts a lot of weight. But when I look at him fighting up against Usman, man, I just don't see it.
Here's the thing that I think you're forgetting. How much of an animal Khabib is. Look at what he does to his training partners, including
Daniel
former
Cormier,
light heavyweight champion Daniel Cormier.
I know. But, hey, man, Usman and Izzy? Ooh, the Battle of Nigeria.
This is why
that could be big, okay? The wrestler versus the striker. And just when you call Kamaru the wrestler, look what he just fucking did at UFC 250.
But could he do that against Adesanya?
So that's where it's fun. That's where it's really fun, because Izzy has incredible takedown defense, but he has not faced a wrestler like Kamaru.
And it's not even close. Really not seen a ton of him, if at any of him, on his back or anything.
And for Kamaru, he's not faced a striker close to Izzy's level.
He is not.
But that's a big fight. Izzy has so many freaking super fight options. I mean, he's about to have one. Then he's got John Jones. He's got Kamaru Usman, the damn guy.
This one's not super realistic, because I think Izzy's more focused on...
Right. But, you said at the beginning.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm just saying that...
But people have been talking about Khabib and Usman.
They have been. That one was a little more realistic, but I thought... I'm siding the same way.
Yeah.
I'm because you're picking Usman Adesanya.
I'm going Usman Adesanya. I just don't... There's nothing there to do it for me with Khabib.
It's so weird, because Khabib is a treasure. He is one of the best ever. So of course you want to see him fight. But once he retired, I
want him to be retired.
I'm in my head. I don't even want, like, it was hard for me to even put him on here. But I was trying to think of some other, champ fights, and I was like, But I really wanted to talk about Usman Adesanya because I just think that could be
that
a lot
fight
of fun.
is freaking interesting,
Yeah.
man.
I almost, because I'm so...
They're each other's kryptonite.
I'm so certain that Adesanya is going to move up to light... Well, he's moving up to light heavyweight against Blachowicz. And if he wins, I'm almost for certain
he's going to heavyweight.
Go into heavyweight.
To get 3 belts.
That's, in my eyes, that's what's going to happen.
Then he's going to drop to 170 and get 4 belts. I'm just kidding.
So I think his days at 185 might be pretty much done.
You think
I was very close to doing Usman versus Whitaker as the option. And I thought that might tickle you a little bit. But that wasn't what I presented.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
But, man. Yeah, Usman Adesanya is the option I'm going with.
Yeah.
Habib's retired. Leave that man
Habib's
alone.
retired.
Let him jet ski.
Let
him
him
wrestle bears
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
live on a farm or wherever he wants
Yeah,
to
he's
live.
doing business school, owns a farm, owns a freaking fighting organization.
Yeah.
This fucking guy does it all.
Entrepreneur.
Yeah, right?
But Usman Adesanya is
That
truly
fight,
polar
man.
opposites. But yet,
about
there's
that fight.
they have those similarities, the Nigerian heritage that the battle.
And they present each other's biggest
the
kryptonite.
fight. You could even do that fight
In Africa, the
Yeah.
first ever event. Hey, Dana, we're available. I mean, we have jobs, but we can put in the 2 weeks.
Sidestep.
Yeah, I love. It's Usman Izzy all day for me though.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people are talking Habib and Usman, so I don't disrespect it. I don't doubt it being brought up. But yeah, Usman Izzy.
Now, do you care if I go ahead and do my third one?
Sure.
Okay, because this one's. I'm curious what you're going to say about this one.
Oh, shit.
So.
What are you? You're laughing.
No.
What are we doing?
So I'm just going to explain to some of our viewers who maybe are not as well versed in how these fight nights work or how pay-per-views work. Every title fight, 5 rounds.
Oh shit.
And every main event, regardless,
Noah,
is 5 rounds.
don't do this. Don't do this.
This or that.
Nah, don't do this.
5-round co-main events, no matter if there's a belt on the line, just all co-main events 5 rounds, or
Oh.
well,
I just thought you were gonna do yes or no.
no. Or 3-round non-title fights for all fight night main events. So basically, any fight that's
No.
not a title fight is 3 rounds.
No. Main event, belt or not, 5 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Co-main, 3 rounds. I'm not
Okay.
budging.
What do you mean? Yeah, it's this or that.
But okay, wait. I have to pick one of those.
You
two?
have to pick either.
What's the lesser of two evils?
You have to pick either 5-round co-mains
Yeah.
or all non-title fights are 3 rounds. And I don't want you to look in the past and go, oh, well, if we did it like that, then I wouldn't get this fight or this fight. No, look ahead. Just from now on, you get one.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
That's why I love this one, because I know you hate both of
I hate
these.
both so much. I'll go 5-round co-mains because there are just so many big fights that can be co-main events. So why not see an extra 2 rounds?
Yeah.
And I'm so much of
like
a fan of fight
yeah.
nights that if you headline a fight night, you deserve to be
Like,
5
it would
rounds.
be awesome to see 5 rounds of
Colby and Masvidal.
Carlos Felipe and Jorgen De Castro, right?
Okay. I'm going with good co-main events.
I know.
You son of a bitch. But here's the thing. So
I want you to defend 5-round co-main
so look at it
events.
this way.
Talk
So
about
I'm
the
gonna
good.
I'm gonna mention Branson, our good friend Branson here.
Okay.
So he was like, when Usman fought Gilbert, he was wishing they would have done Jorge and Colby as a co-main event. Was like, okay, imagine if you have that fight as a co-main event under the title fight, and you also do it for 5 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Ferguson, Charles Oliveira. Granted, Oliveira dominated that fight. Would have loved to see that be a 5-round fight.
Right.
Chandler Hooker ended in the first round, but 5-round fight.
Yeah.
Um,
It raises the stakes a little bit. Right?
yeah. So now, did you say that for pay-per-views only, or would that be in general?
In
Co-main
general.
events.
In general.
Yeah, that's fucking sucks. But anyway,
So that's 5 rounds.
For the most part, we do usually get relatively big co-main
Yeah,
events.
so you get 5 rounds of Carlos Felipe and Jorgen De Castro.
This
so you
weekend,
guys,
this weekend, for example, we would get 5 rounds of Nikita Krylov and Magomed Ankalaev.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that.
You're using a quit. Stop. I know what you're doing.
So I'm actually going to go with the other option.
Okay, go ahead. I'm not going to argue your point. I gave my
So
description.
I just don't. Okay.
You don't think that every main event needs to be 5 rounds?
No. If I'm having to pick one, I don't like either of these either. I like the way we have it now. I think we have it good now.
You just had to do it.
I had to. But if I'm picking one, to me, it would make more sense to... In a way, I feel like if you do all 5-round co-mains, it doesn't lower the stakes of a title fight, but it makes it somewhat less special when you have them. Just because it's like, okay, well now now it's like you have 2 main events because you're doing everything 5 rounds. And to me, it gets a little... there are a lot of cards where the co-main events are not necessarily the biggest fight on the card. Sometimes you do have the third fight be better than the co-main. It's weird with the fight nights, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I'm thinking.
The fight nights is where it really...
Yeah.
You know?
So, in my opinion, you lower all main event, like non-title main events to 3 rounds because outside of the couple times we've had it on a pay-per-view, most notably with the Conor McGregor ones, and then the BMF belt.
Yeah.
However, these fight night main events, they're not for belts usually. So I feel like you do, like, the whole point to me is, like, if you're going to pick one, just that elevates title fights even more because it's like now you have to go 5 rounds to take the belt.
And if you're not
from the
fighting
champ.
for a belt, but you're headlining a fight night, you only get 3.
Yeah, it's just like, and the title is the goal. That's what it should always be.
Yeah.
So therefore, you keep those, and it's like it's kind of like, I don't know if you ever used to play like some Mortal Kombat back in the day, but you have the ladder, so you're fighting your way up the ladder, and it gets harder as you go.
Right.
So you're hitting these 3-round fights. The pressure gets on when you get to that fight night main event. You win that. Now all of a sudden, maybe you're a co-main on a pay-per-view. You win that. Now the hardest
5
challenge of
rounds
all,
for the
5
belt.
rounds for the belt. So it's you have 25 minutes to prove why you deserve
Are the best
belt.
in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it gives you more time to do it, but that adds an extra layer of pressure. So that's all I'm saying. I don't.
You sly dog.
Yeah, it's not something I fancy for either one, but I'm just
leave a voice message on that one alone. Seriously, wow.
Yeah,
well, I don't know how I'm supposed to fire back. I'm going to a fight. I'm going to middleweight though.
Okay.
So we were
just
just recently on middleweight. This is with our boy Kelvin Gastelum, right? So he just got back in the win column at UFC 258 last 2 weekends ago. Big win. First win since 2018. So who do you prefer him to fight? What do you think's a better option? The winner of Derek Brunson, Kevin Holland, main eventing March 20th, or the winner of Uriah Hall, Chris Weidman? Both would be a rematch in that instance. What do you like better for Mr. Kelvin Gastelum? If I'm not mistaken, currently sitting at number 8 or 9 in the rankings for the middleweight division. See how I really just brought that vibe back down?
Well, no, I like this one because I'm a big Kelvin fan, so I'm,
Kelvin's 8. Yeah. Derek's 7. Uriah's 9. Weidman's 11. And Holland is 10. So.
Well, to be honest, I don't know if either of these will actually happen because which one... man, this is... Do I go with which one is probably the most realistic one to happen, or do I go with the one that I would just rather see? I'll just go with the one I'd rather see. That's the concept, right? This or that.
Yeah.
Which one am I picking? The winner of Holland Brunson.
Is this because you're assuming that will be Holland and Holland Gastelum's a really fun fight?
No.
Okay.
I think Brunson and Gastelum could be fun too.
Oh yeah, it could be for sure.
The reason I'm picking it is because they're fresh matchups. I have no interest in seeing Kelvin Gastelum fight Weidman or Uriah Hall again. Maybe Uriah.
Hey, the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, no. Maybe Uriah again. And that's the side that's more realistic because the winner of that fight.
See, I agree.
If Uriah or Weidman win, I think a matchup with
that's
Kelvin
like
makes a lot of
step.
sense.
Yeah.
But I would be more excited for Brunson versus Gastelum or Holland versus Gastelum. However, if Kevin Holland wins that fight, I think he's being shot up to top 5. And if Brunson wins, he's already ahead of Gastelum.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it only makes sense that he gets a top 5 opponent off a win like that. So I don't think it's the most realistic side, but that's the one I'm going to go with because I prefer the matchups.
Yeah, I agree.
I do think the Uriah Hall
every
matchup
sentiment
could
there.
be fun. The Weidman one's the one that's like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. All right.
I'll set this one out.
Yeah, so I just thought that was interesting. Again, it's Kelvin just had that huge bounce back win, and I am curious to see what would be next for him. It seems like both of those are viable. I don't actually know what will come next. Like you said, if Holland can beat Brunson, he really may be skyrocketed. Maybe fight the winner of that Vittori and Till fight, something like that. But I feel for our man Kelvin. I'm glad he's back, and I wanted to give him a little love here.
Yeah, no, I like it. I'm moving over to Bellator.
Whoa.
This is a fight here.
No.
So we got a couple Grand Prix. Right? So one
You
that
just
got
broke my brain.
So light heavyweight just got announced,
Yep.
and then we do have our existing one going on at featherweight.
Correct.
It's featherweight, not lightweight. So I thought it'd be a little fun. 2 potential matchups we could see in these Grand Prix.
Oh boy.
Which one are you picking? Which one would you rather see? And just to be clear, in these Grand Prix, for people that don't know, it's usually 8-man tournaments.
Yeah.
The champion is included, but they're defending each fight.
Yeah, that's a title defense.
So it's not like you just hold on to the belt until you...
Yeah.
Because each one's a title defense. So, would you rather see the finals of the featherweight Grand Prix between Patricio Pitbull and AJ McKee?
Oh man.
Or would you rather see the semifinals? Or would it be the semifinals?
Semis.
Between the light heavyweight champion Vadim Nemkov and Rumble Johnson?
Pitbull McKee.
Okay.
I think that fight is for who's the face of Bellator. Dare I say. I think that's an awesome fight. McKee is on an absolute tear. Pitbull is essentially... He dethroned Bellator's face of the franchise, in Michael Chandler.
Yeah, he did.
He's a 2-weight world champion. That's a massive fight. That's like a mega fight for Bellator.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, Nemkov versus... So you didn't say the winner of. You said Rumble.
Yeah, I'm not assuming
Rumble is fighting Yoel.
I'm not assuming Rumble's going to beat Yoel. I'm just saying that because I think you would be more excited for Rumble than Yoel.
That's a really fun fight, but man, Nemkov is legit, man. That performance he had against Bader to win the belt was next level striking and kickboxing. Oh, man.
Yeah.
I just think Nemkov is above most of those guys in the Grand Prix. And the biggest reason, too, I have not seen Rumble fight in so long that I can't get so excited for him fighting Nemkov until I see him fight Yoel.
Some of it would depend. Yeah, some of that would probably depend on how he looks against
But
Yoel.
McKee, on the other hand, just had that crazy-ass submission. I don't even know what it was called. It was the craziest-looking thing I've ever seen. Pitbull, 2-weight world champion, on an absolute tear, dethroned Michael Chandler. And I think that is the biggest fight to do if you're Bellator. And I think that's what they want. That's why they're on the opposite sides of the bracket. They, because they're assuming they're both going to get to the finals. Bellator didn't do that with Anthony Johnson and Yoel. They said, nope, we can't risk it. They're fighting in the first round. So there's a reason to that, and that's how good both those guys are. Yeah. I'm going McKee Pitbull.
I'm surprised you went that way, but I'm going to agree. I really thought because of I know how excited you are for Rumble to come back.
It's because I wanted him to fight Thiago Santos.
I know.
Damn it.
Now we'll never see it.
I thought it was going to happen.
Yeah, to me, for Bellator, Patricio Pitbull and AJ McKee is like the biggest fight they can make right now.
100%.
If you're going off of like all the factors that make a big fight.
Name value, status, just
everything. Like the fact that they earned their
legacy,
way there.
Yeah.
They fought their way there through a Grand Prix.
You name it.
AJ McKee still has to win his side.
Right.
And
Pitbull still has to win his
Pitbull
part.
still has to win his side. So, I mean, it's not set
For all we know, neither one of them.
Yeah. So, a lot could change. But right now, that's the matchup that's the most exciting. And I'm going with it because much of what you said.
It's the biggest fight.
The face of Bellator. They're two of their biggest stars. I think it makes a lot of sense for that fight to really really be something for Bellator to really, build off of, right? They have all these big things coming about, and including the light heavyweight Grand Prix, which I'm excited for, but that fight feels like a big moment for them to really grow as an organization.
And I think it's a more competitive fight.
Nemkov versus Johnson, on the other hand, it doesn't hurt that if you're going between one or the other, that would be the semifinals. It's not the finals of the tournament. I think that might be intentional because I think that they want Nemkov to get a big win over a big star
UFC
like
guy.
Yoel or Rumble. So I think that there's a reason that they didn't put these matchups on the other sides of the bracket like they did Pitbull,
Exactly.
McKee. Nemkov Johnson could be
a banger.
Yeah. I mean, Rumble Johnson, you just never know. It's just one shot sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
But we haven't seen him in a long time. So for all we know, he might get starched by Yoel. We don't know. That's what makes it so interesting.
Well, and I'm excited to see Yoel go up.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited for both of these, but Pitbull McKee is like the fight for Bellator.
That'd be one of the biggest fights Bellator's ever had.
I don't know if it would be one of the biggest, like, money-wise. I'm just saying.
No.
I'm just
like
saying,
a legit...
like, that's what I'm going
Yeah,
off of.
yeah,
like,
yeah.
the legitimacy of the, like, we were talking about Masvidal Usman rematching. That fight makes, like, no sense.
It's just a money fight.
Back. Yeah. But this one, to me, feels like it makes all the sense in the world, and they earned their
Two
way
freight
there.
trains going full speed.
And they earned their way there.
Yeah, yeah.
What's What's your number 4?
So my number 4, again, is a tone down.
Or wait, is this your number 5?
This is my 4th, and then I'm going to go a fun one on my 5th.
Okay.
So this is number 4. It's a fight. Women's bantamweight. We were just talking about them on our preview. We've got Miss Juliana Pena, right? Now, she's scheduled to fight Holly Holm. That just got announced. So that's option 1, right? We don't hate that fight. It's an interesting fight. They've never fought before. Grappler versus striker.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think I've got a better option, in my opinion. But I'm curious to see what you pick.
Okay.
This or that, Juliana Pena versus Holly Holm, or Juliana Pena versus Aspen Ladd.
Pena versus Holm is what I'm going to go with here. And a lot of this might be because Aspen Ladd has not fought in a long time. And Pena did make a bit of a statement in her last fight. The person she beat wasn't the statement.
Sarah McMahon, for those that don't know.
I mean, Sarah McMahon, good fighter. But she called out the champ.
Yes, she did.
So if I'm picking which one I want to see, then I'm like, all right,
You wanted to get
you want the champ.
the biggest name, the biggest test.
Beat Holly Holm.
Yeah.
Prove that you can actually do that because you just lost to Jermaine Duran to me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to call it because it was a great fight and she looked good in it. But the way she lost, being that it was GDR's first submission win of her career and that woman's been fighting
Long
forever.
time. Yeah.
That's a tough L to take. So I'm like, okay, go earn it. Beat Holly Holm.
Okay.
To me, a win over Aspen Ladd does not tell me that she's ready for Amanda.
Okay.
A win over Holly Holm would at least put a little bit more confidence in me that she could at least give Amanda some sort of challenge.
I respect it. I'm going opposite, though.
Okay.
Now, of course, we are getting Holm and Pena, but I like Ladd and Pena. Ladd is one of the biggest women's female, the same word. Women's prospects in all of the UFC. 25 years old. She's 9-1. Only one loss on her record. That was to GDR, right? Correct? Is that what it was?
What was that?
Ladd's only loss was GDR, right? The knockout?
Yep, in like 16 seconds.
Which was semi-controversial.
She got hit once,
Yeah.
dropped, and she looked a little dazed,
But was
but
trying to
Herb
get
just
up.
kind of stopped it right there.
I'm big on Aspen Ladd, and I think it's a really big test for both. Because either way, Pena's fighting up, because Ladd's number 3 right now. Ladd has not fought in over a year. She was out all of 2020. And I just think that's a really interesting stylistic matchup because Aspen is very well-rounded. Pena is well-rounded. She has shown that in her past 2 fights. But if you get on the ground with her, she's a different beast. Her and Holm is a striker grappler. So it's almost like you kind of already know the path to victory for both people. Especially coming off of Holm's most recent performance where she looked incredible against Irene Aldana. But we know she's just going to try and keep it on the feet. Pick her shots, head kicks, body kicks, all that fun stuff. Pena's going to try and just close the distance. Where Pena and Ladd, there's a few more question marks. And those fights are a little more fun. to me, looking in, previewing, and then watching. So I'm going to go Ladd and Pena on that one.
Nice. Down to the number 5.
This is it. Last one for each of us.
So this one I think you're also going to hate. But I think it's
I'm never
fine.
doing this again.
I think it's so
Part
much
2
fun.
is it.
I'm so excited to see how you how you defend
If
your
only
option
they
here.
could see us.
I know.
Oh, my word.
So Jorge Masvidal is
What are you doing?
he is the BMF champ.
Yeah, what are you doing?
I'm setting it up. I'm setting the scene. Painting a picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's on the logo.
It's
We
on the
get
logo.
it.
Yeah. Now, that title was a one-off. They said...
Was it, though?
They said, yeah, they're like, yeah, we just wanted to throw it on there because, you know, him and Nate Diaz, it was a big fight.
And then a doctor stopped it.
Yep.
So ironic.
So, this or that.
Oh.
Would you rather see Jorge Masvidal defend his BMF belt, or would you rather see the UFC introduce an NMF belt?
I'd rather see him defend the BMF belt. That's not even a question. Now, although there is one clear frontrunner for the NMF, and that would be Mr. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Yes, it
Problem
would.
is, you're not going to find anyone nice enough to fight for it with him.
I disagree.
Who?
I think someone like, if you want to be a little cheeky with it, maybe do like a catchweight. Jack Hermanson is a very nice guy. Hell, Michael Chandler is a very nice guy. Catchweight.
I hate this. I hate it. You couldn't have picked.
Well, are you
two
going to
words-
defend it?
Yeah, so I'm.
Because right now I'm starting to think maybe I go NMF.
No.
Because you're not saying anything.
One, we don't have to make another new belt. The BMF belt is out there somewhere in Jorge's house, so we're just going to bring that back out one more time, put it on the line. Who it could be against? I'm not going to run it back with Nate. Let's see. I mean, shit, maybe just throw Hamzat in there for shits and giggles. I don't know. He's a pretty bad dude. I don't know, man. I hate this so much. I don't even want to talk about it. But I don't want another make-believe belt made.
Oh, okay.
That's the biggest thing. I don't want another make-believe
So you
belt.
just want to see the first make-believe belt get defended.
You're an ass.
Like it's a real belt.
You're an ass. A literal donkey on the set. Listen, man. This is terrible.
Because technically, wouldn't Masvidal's loss to Usman mean that Usman's champ?
Usman is the baddest motherfucker.
Usman's champ. He's welterweight champ.
So yeah, when you're putting it that way, yeah, I want to see the BMF belt get defended again because Usman has to defend his other belt too, and they'll just on the line at the same time. There we go. Case closed. Boom, I'm done. You go ahead and go because I don't want to talk about it anymore. I can't believe you just did that.
Yeah, so here's the thing. See, when I put these fun ones on here that I know you're going to hate, I don't like them either. So then I have to talk about
I would
them.
rather Stephen Thompson change his nickname from Wonderboy to Nicest Motherfucker and just come out that way on the octagon as his name.
I think I'm going to go the other way.
Of course.
Because
The Ultimate Fighting Championship presents the Nicest Motherfucker.
No. Listen.
I hate this. What are they going to do? Have a thumb war? Come on, Noah.
No, just listen.
I need Wonderboy to fight.
Can I
Leon.
talk?
I want you to.
I'm half of this. All right. The biggest reason for this is because there's a lot of confusion because Jorge still has that BMF belt on somewhere in his house,
I think you just give it to The Rock.
but he already lost to Usman, so technically the belt should be Usman. So if you bring it back for him to defend against like Nate Diaz or Nick Diaz or whoever it might be, to me, there's no point. Because then you're just confusing everybody because Usman should have the belt. While you do an NMF belt, and everybody knows it's stupid. But you do it just for shits and gigs because Stephen Thompson has earned it.
Paid in full.
Yeah. So, in my opinion, if the UFC, if they want to bring in this younger audience, right? They just announced a partnership with TikTok. They're really trying to bring in the younger demographic. You introduce a nice little NMF belt, and then you put it on the line, and everybody knows it's kind of a meme, it's a joke, and that's going to bring in the kids.
Would this belt have SpongeBob on it?
Huh?
I mean, what's the belt going to look like?
You want me to design a belt right here on the podcast?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to. Because that's about the dumbest thing you've ever asked me to do. Point being,
This is awful.
I think it's a great idea to introduce an BMF belt. While if you defend a BMF belt, that would just be stupid. Now you're number 5.
All right. Venom's coming up.
Oh, okay.
Venom.
I thought you were talking about the movie, like the sequel. I'm like, really? You were making fun of mine.
Venom, for those of you that don't know, starting in April, right around the corner, one more month, and Reebok's out of here. Venom will be the official merchandise partner, but not shoe partner. No. That's still Reebok until the end of the year. Venom will be the official apparel dealer, sponsor of the UFC. So, Noah, my question for you. When Venom comes along come April, one consistent look or theme, kind of how Reebok is with the suits, the fighter kits, or do we go back to the good old days, Noah, with Condom Depot and all that fun little sponsorships on fighter shorts? What do you think?
See, this is the worst one.
Oh!
This is way worse than mine.
Come on.
This is so much worse because it's damned if I do and damned if I don't. You really set me up for failure. See, at least with mine, yours had no stakes to them. But for me, I'm either saying, do I want to say, fuck the fighters and go with the Reebok kits? Or do I want to say, fuck the legitimacy of the sport and go with Condom Depot and Al's Toy Barn?
Granted, today we see it all. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. Oh my God, this is...
Well, I'll go.
No,
I can go.
You asked me,
Well,
so I
you
gotta
just
go.
wanted to think. I know the answer.
No. I got my answer. I'm gonna flip a coin. You ready?
There's no coin being flipped.
Condom Depot.
All right.
Now,
Safety first.
now here's the thing. I think there's... I'm only answering that because I'm gonna cheat a little bit and say that there's a way for the UFC to kind of filter their sponsors.
Yeah,
who they allow for fighters.
especially now.
Because in this day and age, you can't... I don't think Condom Depot and
No.
Al's Toy Barn can be on there.
Well, it's like
You keep rushing over with the now the Reebok, like, I like the clean look of, like, okay,
especially the ones they have now, like the 210.
they could be a lot better. They're a bit boring, but I like the idea of they just
A
look
uniform.
more like professional athletes.
Yeah.
So I think there's something there with the Reebok look, but I don't think it's. I would like to see a little more personality thrown in, like Bryce Mitchell with the camo, stuff like that.
I'm excited to see what Venom does.
But I do think that for the fighters, let them earn their money. So filter in the sponsors. Say, like, okay, you can only be, if these sponsors want to be with you, and you can have a huge list, then you can put maybe small decals somewhere on your shorts.
Well, it's like some exclusive athletes with the Reebok deal did get the Monster logo.
I mean,
they did get the P3 protein.
You know, it's
pack.
similar to like NASCAR does that. You know,
Yeah.
their cars are sponsored. Like usually, you know, being a kid, and I would watch some occasional NASCAR race or play a NASCAR game. I didn't always know the guys driving the cars, but I knew the car by the. It was like, oh, there's the M&M car. There's the Home Depot car. That's Tony Stewart. I don't know.
Tony Stewart.
So in that way, like, I think you can kind of, you know, the NASCAR doesn't allow Condom Depot to be on their vehicles, nor do I think Condom Depot's throwing around that kind of money. But point being, I want to be a proponent for fighters to get more money.
Get that money.
So I think there's an in the middle there that you can do. But if I have to choose one, then, I mean, fuck it, man. Just as long as it's good fights, I guess. What the hell? I hate that one.
Sorry.
That one was worse than any of mine.
Oh, shut it. There is something about a clean look across the board. But it's been so controversial. We've talked about this before, I think. And like you said, I think there is a way to have a really perfect middle ground. But I'm going to go fighters as well. That is what you did, right? Fighters. Right? You went fighters, right? Not one clean look. You went fighters with sponsors, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm siding with you, so we're agreeing. See?
Okay.
We're agreeing.
Still stupid.
But I think there's just a way to work out, like Noah said, the proper sponsorship. So like, there's specific brands that are partnered with the UFC, and then they can choose the fighters that they want to partner with and expand their brand with. Where Venom is still going to have a huge portion or say in the attire. You know, like that badass logo they have with like the snake fangs, real big on like the right side of your leg and like on the chest plate of like the women's kits or whatever. But then still you've got plenty of area on the ass or on the left leg for the individual fighter sponsors. And nowadays it's going to be a lot cleaner of a look. They're not just going to be thrown like fighter trunks used to look like NASCAR cars. They were just sponsors all over. It wasn't a clean look. It was just all over the place. And again, if you got all the sponsors, get that bread. I don't know, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm not opposed to them doing that.
But I think there's a way to have it look clean and professional, but at the same time allow fighters to have their individuality, build their brand with brands that cater to them, and therefore build an audience. If a fighter or if a fan tunes in and sees, that fighter's got Monster. Well, that's an easy one that they've been doing, but like Manscaped. They've got Manscaped on their trunks, and I use Manscaped, whatever.
I mean, what if you do it like how NASCAR, like when we're talking about like the Home Depot car was orange, that's the color. What if we had a fighter that's big sponsor was Home Depot and they had orange trunks?
So with one Home Depot
it builds
logo.
some individuality because I think that the basic color scheme the UFC has is just a bit too basic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Bryce Mitchell, he'd probably have freaking
Bass Pro Shop and Field and Stream, he'd have all
camo shorts. That would be sick, right?
Yeah.
So I think that there is a way to do it without it compromising the aesthetic.
Right.
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Because you want a clean, professional look, but you want to support the individual fighters.
I mean, I guess...
And there is a middle ground to where like the UFC's obviously still going to like get the bag. I don't know if the bag's going to be as big as Reebok. I can't see this deal with Venom being larger monetary-wise, but I think that's also why it's going to play out a lot differently.
Yeah.
I think it's going to really be different come April.
I feel like the power balance with the Reebok deal sided more with Reebok making most of the calls in the UFC,
whereas,
just kind of following.
And that was their intro into MMA. Venom has been there. Yeah. Venom's been sponsored with fighters.
So they're actual
years.
fans of the sport.
Exactly.
And with the Reebok deal, I think it's apparent that especially when it first happened, they weren't necessarily so. Considering
spelling
a lot
names
of,
wrong,
bad. Anderson Aldo.
I think Venom is going to be able to really do some cool shit, man.
Yeah,
I hope
really
so. Do.
I hope so.
Cool like collaborations, and they know the fight game, and that's why I think the UFC went with this direction. To be honest, outside the shoe deal, still Reebok, but that's
still a stupid option, still a stupid question, but
I think it's fun. We went all over the place. This is the perfect this or that episode.
So. That's the end of part 2 of This or That. If you have a this or that you would like us to talk about on a future episode of this concept, leave a voice message or, again, give your thoughts and we'll put it on Friday's episode. As for the rest of the week, Friday, big preview episode, big fight night, big boys.
Mm-hmm. Again.
One biggie boy.
Yeah, that's
is
just
Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Going up against Cyril Gane.
The Frenchman.
Yep. Heavyweights going at it. Probably not going 5 rounds.
And a 6-fight main card.
6-fight main card. So we'll be breaking those down on Friday. There might even be a couple other prelim fights spiced into the preview as well. And then obviously Monday we will recap and review all the action that took place Saturday. But until then, Dominic Slee, tell the good people where they can find you on social media.
Twitter, Instagram, at DSlee14. Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, at BAJ_MMA podcast.
And as for me, if you go to my bio on Twitter or Instagram, at ntbaker_, you'll be taken to our links tree, which gives you the links to all the platforms that the podcast is on, along with the social media platforms. That includes the Twitter, the Instagram, the YouTube channel, and Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. It's all on there, baby. And there's a couple links for the Anchor page. First, leaving a voice message. We're hitting it hard in 2021 if that hasn't been apparent enough. If you have a thought about an upcoming fight, a news story, if you just want to say hi or tell us we're a piece of shit, you got 60 seconds to do so. And there's a link if you want to become a supporter of the podcast. That just provides us with a few dollars a month. All that money goes back into improving the quality of the podcast, whether it be audio equipment, or down the line doing a video podcast. So again, you can find all of that if you go to my bio on Twitter or Instagram at ntbaker_. But with that, we're out, and we'll see y'all on